yeah. But in line with dealing with experiences, dealing with the ups and downs of life. You recently mentioned to me that you lost somebody, and you lost somebody that you went to school with, right?
Yeah, so uh more so I'm learning a lot within my age group, whatever, that I'm losing a lot of classmates, man.
Right,
It can be fatal
right,
and it can be just be natural,
right.
I could put the person's name out there,
Mm-hmm.
but it tells me a lot that, life is short.
Right,
People just say that life is short. No, life is really like short, man. Like we need to stop meeting up or meeting people when it comes convenient when somebody passes away
yeah,
or somebody is hurt.
yeah,
I think we have a habit of doing that.
right,
My brother, Marcus, my oldest brother, told me that as brothers, we need to get together more often.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Just not for the holidays or this
right.
and that, whatever. Like we need to get together, man. Like we're brothers. We love each other. We need to really like more often get together, and that's where anybody, not even
Making
family,
that effort, right?
make an
Putting that
effort,
effort into it.
make an effort of doing it.
Yeah. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna
Yeah,
make sure that we're gonna do
like
this.
we kind of joke. I mean, before the podcast, whatever. You
Right.
like we didn't see each other since last year.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean, and it's a beneficial for both of us, whatever. Like you got things you're doing, I got things I'm doing,
Right.
but man, like God put us on this earth for a certain period of time,
Right.
and I think one of our jobs is to enjoy the time that he put on for us to enjoy on this world.
Right.
If you spend many times just being miserable, whatever, you wasted your time
Right.
right here on the
Right.
on the planet
Right.
Earth. Um, and so for people that I'm losing, that from people I went to high school with,
Right.
or I played ball, football, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, guy, I'm sitting there like, man, like it's kind of the point, like we have to do something, and we need to enjoy more of life. I mean,
Right.
people get taken away early. I
Right.
mean, if you see the news, if you hear from Portsmouth, people being killed, like
Yeah.
it's ridiculous now. People getting killed back to back to back.
Right.
You just don't know when your life is going to be gone, man.
Right.
I just want to tell people out there, man, like please, let's let's get together. Let's have a coffee. Let's work out together. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Right.
Because if we don't, that person might be gone. And that's kind of how I took it. I'm kind of like, man, like I don't know, man. I think the older I'm getting, I'm kind of like, oh man,
Changes.
I
Right.
gotta make some changes.
Your perspective changes
Yeah,
on what you value, and yeah.
absolutely. And like
Yeah.
I said, I gotta enjoy more life. I just can't just can't do just working, training, coming home,
Right.
do it over again.
Right.
No, I need to do something. Let's go out and do something, like
Right.
let's do something interesting,
Right.
because
It's so funny you say that, man.
I get chills now, man.
Yeah.
It's not the wind hit me right now.
No, I know
I
what you're
literally
saying.
get chills.
I know.
I
I
literally
know.
get chills, man. Because I'm like, man, like people, like every day I go into boot camp and I'm changing everybody's life by losing weight or feeling
Right.
confident or doing
Yeah. Oh
that. You know what I
man.
mean?
Right.
That's my job,
Right.
right? And
Back to that mental piece too.
it's back to the mental piece, because then,
How it affects people mentally.
right,
There's a physical part of it,
but
but that mental, man.
yeah, it's a mental thing. And I don't know if I'm getting offhand on this,
Hmm.
but they take it right, and that right there might be a step for them, kind of like they're coming in, they're changing something in their life, because you just don't know, right? Like they're
Right.
changing something, right? I'm doing everything for them, but at the end of the day, and I hope they don't take this. I don't think
No,
they take it offensive.
I know where you're going. No, they won't take it
They're
offensive.
not going to take it offensive.
No,
I hope they don't.
no, because
But
they want to give back to you.
right, yeah, because I do all this,
Right.
and this is one of my therapists. God, I'm going off note, but I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Say it.
But I don't do it for myself.
Right.
God, man, that's hard for me to say right now. But I'm saying it. I give all of them their goals to achieve, and they go in and but like they achieved it, and their life is being changed,
Right.
and you know they can be like, if something happens to me, at least I made this change for myself. Like I changed my lifestyle of how I eat, how I live, how I worked out. Marco came in, he changed
Right.
that. Like I
Right.
feel good. If something was to happen to me, like I
Right.
made a change, right?
Right. Right.
I do this for all these people, and a thou, I put 5,000% to all the people that walk in that room
Right.
to change their lives.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I don't do it for myself.
Right. No. No.
I don't do it for myself,
Right.
and that's something that I'm still working on.
Right.
Right. And I don't want nobody to listen to it and come to me in class, but like, Mark, I heard, it's something that I'm working with.
Right.
Because I want to be able to change that, because who knows, God forbid something happens to me. And I think I'm going to be here for a long time, but I want to change that with me before I have to perceive this earth and go.
Right.
You know, I changed everybody's life, but I gotta make sure that
Yeah.
I do mine as well.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I tell people, out there, like, just get with that loved one.
Right.
Do something you want to do.
Right.
Achieve a goal you want to achieve.
Wow.
Because it's you just don't know.
You don't know.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
I want to leave it on that point, because I'm getting the shivers right now.
No, I understand.
It's hard for me to say, but I think me saying it, whatever. Hopefully, somebody out there would take that advice and go off of mine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll tell you this from a selfish perspective. That's the reason why we do the podcast together.
Yeah.
Because I see like what you do helping other people, but I know there's like more.
It's more.
You know what I'm saying? I know there's more, and everybody who you help like that, they would love to be able to like repay you in some way, and like I think one of the ways is just supporting you and you doing the same for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
I can see a lot of them saying that.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of my older Team Marco members saying that.
Right.
Yeah, it's.
No, I understand. We don't have to.
You got to forgive me, man.
You're fine.
Because that's one thing that that's one of the questions that Thurb asked me. Because I kept saying that I do this and do that for people.
Yeah.
And she heard it, and she was kind of like, "I'm not hearing what you're doing for yourself."
So listen,
and I'm like, God, man, she's right.
If she hasn't told you or used this reference before, she will. The metaphor or analogy, I always get metaphors and analogies mixed up. But the whole thing about when you're on the airplane, you know where I'm going with this?
I think I do.
When you're on the airplane and they give you the little safety briefing, they say if the oxygen mask drop down, what you supposed to do?
You're supposed to put it on yourself first, right? That kind of throws me off a little bit. And then you're supposed to put yours on first, and then second put the child's mask on.
But why? You know why?
Nah, I don't.
If you and Lil Marco are on the airplane and cabin pressure is lost and everybody starts getting lightheaded if they don't get those masks on, what can you do for Lil Marco if you pass out?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So take that and expand that over your whole life.
Yeah.
What can you can do what you're doing for the people on Team Marco, but there's probably more that you can do for them. There's probably other ways, like this podcast your therapy, different things like that is like you putting your oxygen mask on.
Yeah. You gotta take care. First take care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of
nobody else.
Yeah.
Like if you're falling apart and you're rickety, if I have an elderly parent and I'm responsible for literally that elderly parent can't move.
Yeah.
But I let myself go and I'm 400, 500 pounds and my knees don't work and my heart is bad. How good am I going to be for them?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If I'm 50, 60 and I can't move and now my 80, 90-year-old parent needs me, but I can't.
Yeah.
My kids, I can't. The whole thing about like, taking care of yourself. So like when you got little kids and like our kids' age, we want to be able to run around with them.
Yeah.
If we don't take care, mental is the same thing. Emotional is the same
Same
thing.
thing.
Spiritual is the same thing.
Yeah.
Like taking care of ourselves in all those areas, because we know there's going to be moments that our kids are going to need us emotionally,
Oh yeah.
spiritually,
Yep.
to help them get through their first breakups and
Oh, God.
failures and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But if we haven't taken care of those traumas and stuff that we've dealt with, we're going to get to that. And I have experienced this personally. You get to that and like I'm looking, I'll be honest with you. I love my parents, but emotional support is not something that my parents like shine in. And I know why, because they didn't get emotional support.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's not too late. They can, I believe you can always work on stuff.
Yeah.
So they can still work on stuff, but at this point, it would definitely be all for them because I'm grown now.
Yeah.
So now any areas that maybe I didn't get what I needed, I can go seek help.
Yeah.
Like we're doing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But when you're our kids' age and we got parents that maybe aren't emotionally healthy,
Yeah.
spiritually healthy, how can they help us through the questions if you haven't discovered your purpose in life, or you haven't come to grips with what's the meaning of life? When your kid comes to you and says, "Why am I here, Dad?
Yeah.
What's the point?" And we all go through it where you wonder, like, "Why am I universe?" All this stuff, like, what's my part in all of it? If mom and dad haven't even thought about it, we're gonna be like, "Oh wow."
Yeah.
Go ask somebody else. No, we want to be able to sit down with them and have that
Yeah.
conversation.
Hopefully, man, I'm doing it right now. Hopefully, Marco has the. I think he will.
I can already tell you.
I think he's 100% going to be asking me questions. He's comfortable with it because I'm handling the situation right now because
I can already tell you.
yeah, because I'm nipping in the butt and this.
You're light years ahead of the average person when it comes to that.
I got to do it. I have.
You got to continue, but I can tell you, you are light. The one experience that we just talked about on this, where your son saw you journaling, and for some reason we don't want to say that word, but journaling, because it makes you think of like a young teenage girl with her diary. But nah, journaling, like that's a way to deal with stuff that we can't necessarily talk out loud about. Whatever. Your son saw you journaling about your anger.
Yeah, man, it's the anger.
That's generational, life changing.
Yeah, I
like. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I hope everybody takes it from him and just get that book, man, journal, man. And it's funny. And I can say this. I'm not gonna say the whole situation, but I remember when I was on the boys' trip, and I got angry, man.
Really?
I got really angry. And
wow,
I remember the steps. My therapist was like, "Okay, Marco, do this, do that." And
so you got angry about something that was going on between the boys?
Not necessarily.
We don't have to get into details.
No, not get into detail, but I just
like what kind of situation?
It was this weird situation, and I was in my feelings,
right?
And I was like, you know what? I remember the steps you were telling me, and I did. I was like, all right, and I remember I just. It's funny because I remember I was like, you know what? All right, so I left the situation. I called an Uber and I went back to the hotel.
Okay.
I remember everybody calling me like, "Yo," I remember all the voicemail. "Marco, you good? You left, blah blah blah, whatever." And I remember I said, I took myself out of a situation before it became a real, very situation. It was like, dang, like they was like, wow, like they, like, oh, okay,
like they acknowledged that's
like,
big.
Like I salute you,
right? Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, man. Like I'm like, I had to do it for me, and they was like, hey, man.
We talk about that off camera because I'm curious.
Okay, yeah,
we can talk about that off camera.
Okay, but it was just like, they commended me because it takes a lot for a black man to do that. Any black man could be like, just go crazy, whatever.
Yeah, that's what.
Me, I was like, nah, I just
nice.
Looked at my app, got the Uber, went back to the hotel,
bruh.
Ate my grilled chicken sandwich,
bruh.
Had me my sparkling water, and I went to bed.
Hey, I don't know how you gonna take this, right?
Yeah.
Because again, we talk about all the things men we struggle with, but I'm proud of you.
Make me cry.
Nah, for real, I'm proud of you for that moment, like that. You know what I'm saying? That's one of those moments where, like, man, I'm glad I know this cat. Like,
Yeah.
I'm honored to know this cat because that's big.
It is.
That's big.
It was big for me, and
Yeah.
I was just seeing therapy too, and I was maybe it was like 4 or 5 weeks in the therapy,
Right.
and I was like, I'm sitting there, and I remember she was telling me, when you get angry, your body gets hot, your
Right.
tongue gets loose, and I said, I remember all those words she was telling me,
Right.
and I was like, she said, before you get in a bigger situation, think about how you will feel when you step out of that situation the next day.
Right.
And the next day, I thought about, I was like, man,
Yeah.
I feel good because I didn't say nothing stupidity.
Right. 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 Right.
Not to my knowledge. I'm like, all
Right.
right, and it didn't get worse. And then
Right.
we all came together and we laughed about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
like, all
Right.
right,
Right.
cool. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Where if you hadn't taken that step,
oh man,
that
yeah,
situation could have been one that maybe you couldn't laugh about the next day
Yeah.
because something was said.
Yeah.
And maybe you still would have worked through it. You probably would have still worked through it, but it
Yeah.
might have been a different tension
Yeah.
or something because of a choice that you made.
yeah,
That
it would have been on me, right? I'd be like, oh, well, he's the
he
one that
did.
act on
Right,
it. He
right,
act
right,
on it.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean? And
Right.
I would have woke up like, man,
If I had just,
if I would have just did this,
Right.
or did that, I would have been good. But no, I woke up the next
That's
day.
amazing,
I
man.
had my bowl of oatmeal and
Yeah.
turkey sausages, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
man. I'm like, let's carry on. Let's carry on this vacation.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was just getting into therapy, and I
Right.
told my therapist that, and then she said, Mark, I'm very proud of you. Cause,
Right.
a lot of people that she talked to, whatever, she was like, a lot of people, it takes a while for them to get the hang of that. For me,
Right.
just to grasp that right
Right.
there. She was like, she was like, I commend you. She said, and then she said, I'm happy for you. I'm like,
Good.
I'm happy for myself.
Good.
I said, because
We need to hear that, man.
yeah,
I think we need to hear that
I don't hear it enough.
for the rest of our life. We need to hear that somebody telling us.
She,
Yeah.
again, her being a black, she said, I
Yeah.
think as black males, we don't hear it enough.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
know.
I
Yeah.
accomplished something.
That's why the Cosby Show was what the Cosby Show was.
Man, that was Cosby is
That's why those shows like that like make you feel Family Matters stuff, because you've seen parents like pour into their kids that positivity and that support.
man.
And because the average family is lacking in that, not because our parents don't want to do it,
Nah,
but because they don't know how.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some of them don't know how, and a lot of them are working. They don't got time. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get it when they were a kid. So if you get to a certain age and you feel like you're okay and you survived, it's going to be harder for you to give your kids something like telling them supportive things, because you say, well, I survived without it. I'm fine without it. When you're really not fine without it. You're not fine. But
I thought that way before.
that's the cycle.
Yeah, and
That's one of the cycles.
and that's why I think hopefully I stopped it,
Right.
or I'm in the progress to stop it.
You working on
I'm
it.
working on it, right? Because it's gonna take some time. But yeah, I mean, and again, my growing up was the average black family household. Whatever,
Right.
You know what I mean? My mother and father, they raised us all.
I envision y'all like the Cosbys for some reason. I really do.
They raised us the way
Just from being around y'all.
yeah, they raised us the best they did, and we all came out the best we could, and we did whatever we could. But I could tell that it was a different generation brought up.
Right.
I could tell you that.
Right.
I know a lot of people say you can see it on Facebook or whatever. Me, when we grew up, whatever, when we had to put a belt to somebody's whatever, that's the way that we was raised, whatever.
Right.
But some child might not take it that way. They might
Right.
take it away like, when I grow up, well, every time my child gets upset, I'm gonna take my
Beat the- yeah.
I'm gonna whip
Yeah.
the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, and I'm saying on the podcast, my mother and father, great parent.
Right.
But I was one of those unfortunate kids that thought about it wrong that way.
Right. Right. You didn't. Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying my mother and father would
No.
right, but I'm one of those kids that got up
Right.
and I took it the wrong way.
You took it the wrong way. Right.
You know what
Most
I mean?
kids. Yeah.
And to this day, and anybody can ask me, I never put a hand on my child
Right.
to this day, and my son is 7 years old.
Right.
Vocally, when I get angry,
Yeah. That's where mine comes from too.
right, I vocalized it,
Right.
and it scares the mess out of them because you be like,
Right.
oh God, like that,
Yeah.
like you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. They little
And,
face, and sometimes they little
right.
eyes start doing.
Yeah,
You
and he
like,
gets.
good gracious.
I
You,
think that's worse.
yeah. It's
Like
like
playing
you.
up.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, and, and then words, me vocalizing whatever and seeing this big black, and Marco looks up and he's like, his whole world is like, whoa, like
Right.
okay, and
Right.
then that eats me up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's just because how I saw it when I was growing up.
Right.
You know what I mean? From my parents' parents and their parents' parents. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just an average way that we supposed to
Right.
discipline your child.
Right.
And me, why I don't think you have to do it that way.
No.
I think there's another option. I know they said that I guess there's a quote in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
No quote me. This is
Spare the rod, spoil the child. Mm-hmm.
Can we see that some different way? And I kind of I can't.
So I am at 46 years old. I just went on a camping trip with a bunch of brothers from our church.
Okay, all right.
Of all ages.
Yeah.
So we had middle school sons there. Like the youngest you could be was in middle school. So it went from middle school sons.
Was your son there?
No, because he's in 5th grade.
Okay, gotta be a
So
okay.
next
All right,
year.
Next year. All right,
yeah.
cool.
But so I went from middle school all the way up to like 70, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know the exact age of the oldest person, but I know we had somebody my age there, and then their father was there. So that person had to be, 60 plus, right?
Yeah.
And so it was all these different ages, and I say all that to say we discussed the Bible, we discussed some different things, and I'm learning about the Bible, interpretations of the Bible, translations of the Bible. Mm-hmm. So I would have to go back and look at that. But I don't know if it's a literal rod that they're talking about, or if it's a figurative rod. And this is what I mean by that. Don't discipline your child, spoil your child.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like obviously, yeah, if you don't discipline your child, you let your child run amok. They're gonna grow up to be adults who run amok. Right. So I mean, you can't let them go through life doing whatever they want to do.
Right.
So you have to give them some kind of discipline. So when it says spare the rod, spoil the child, like a lot of people take it literal, and I took it literal at one point too.
I took a look because every time that happened, Mama, she'll
right.
She'll say it. And I'm like, oh,
right,
here we go.
Right. But I think in a broader sense, and again, I will go. I'm not somebody who's ashamed of saying I don't know.
No, yeah.
So I will go and I will do research to see some different interpretations of that scripture to see, because I really think it was in the context, just telling you, like, if as a parent you aren't the disciplinarian of your child, you're doing your child a disservice.
Okay.
You're setting your child up for failure. If you don't discipline your child, now what does the discipline look like?
Right.
Again, there's plenty of stuff in biblical times that was the way things were done, but we don't do it. Like, we don't go to a well for our water now.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And there's plenty of references to going to the well for water. Right. We don't do that literally anymore, right? But yeah. So I think you can interpret it, and we just got to get in trouble, and we just got to be careful with how we interpret anything, especially the Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And this probably me getting a little deep. I mean, you can edit this out if you want to.
No.
Be edited out. I mean, so they say that for the way of growing up was when your child got whatever they did, whatever you post a discipline, whip them, whatever, get a belt, whatever. So what's the difference between when slavery was happening, when the opposite color was to do the same thing,
right, and
hit them and whip them,
right?
Was that okay, or was that all right? You know what I mean? Or what did they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or did they people that was brought up that way? Did they interpret it like that's the way you're supposed to be disciplined?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
I've heard people talk about that before.
Okay, and
it's like that's a habit or a technique or something that as black people we kind of took from slavery and used it in our household.
Right. And
like, this is how master got black people to do what they wanted slaves to do what they. So this is how we're gonna get our kids.
Was that slowly brought down from generation to generation?
Right.
Just because that ancestor saw it, and
Yeah.
then that person saw
Right.
it, and then that person saw. I mean,
Something
again,
as simple as this is how you get somebody to do what you want them to do. If you're looking at slavery, the way they got people to do what they want them to do was fear.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah. So I could very easily see that coming out of that, fear being used, and the main thing people fear is pain.
pain.
So
Yeah,
if I don't want to deal with that pain, if you tell me to do this, I'll do
do
it, so I
that.
don't have to deal with the
Right,
consequence of pain.
right. I mean, if you've seen it, I mean, you've seen it on. I mean, my first time seeing that type of interaction when I think I was in Germany and I saw the movie Roots. And I'm
Right.
sitting there like, oh God, like
Yeah.
what is this? You know what I
Right.
mean? And then when it happened to me, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Right.
whoa, whoa,
Right.
whoa.
Right.
You know,
Right. So right.
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 And I
No.
was young,
Yeah.
right? And I was kind
Yeah.
of like, oh, hold on now,
Yeah. Yeah.
like you know, this is this
Yeah.
this the trait? Like,
Right.
what's going on? And then you know, I have friends. They were like, "Yeah, my mom, dad, they you know, we all got
Yeah.
together. Was like, you got in trouble too?
Oh yeah, that's a joke. That's a joke in the black
They
community.
got the belt on you too."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah." And then I mean, I'm not gonna say one of my friends made we were joking about to this day. He's like, "Yeah, man, she got the belt and plus the baby oil. She put it on my back and got me good." I'm like, "Dang, really?"
Yeah.
I said, "That's a sound off." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, and I'm like, if you think about it, you know, and then when I got older, of course, you know, I'm like, I think I started reflecting more when I got maybe like 18, 17 years old, whatever. And you know, you're too old to get beatings, whatever. Because
Yeah.
I mean, at that time, I was overtowering my mother and my father when
Right.
I was a big guy playing sports, whatever.
Right.
Um,
Here come
yeah.
the boys.
Okay, we're
Oh,
almost
y'all
down.
got kicked out. Oh,
All right.
hey, did that happen to you as a kid? Did you ever get kicked out the house?
Yeah.
I got kicked out the house
All the
every
time.
day of the summertime. Every day in the summer, it was
Summertime.
like, get out there and play. Why you
Yeah.
in here?
Yeah. It's the sun's still up, man. We
Yeah.
fine.
And I remember one time I ran my mouth at my mom, and I was 11 years old. I can remember to this day. It was like 8:30 at night, and she said, "Okay, leave."
Yeah, pretty much.
And I was like, "Whatever, I'll leave."
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I bucked up.
Yep.
She put me out the house at 8:30 at night. It wasn't no friend's house I could go to.
Nope.
It wasn't
Pitch
nobody
black.
outside.
It's pitch black.
Pitch black.
You looking at the stars like, God, this is
Bruh, I was like, oh, this is real. Let me
Yeah.
go back and act right. Let me go back and act right. Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right, we got 2 more minutes. And then
All right, yeah. So, yeah.
So
Yeah, but that's a joke. That's a joke in the black community about getting whippings. You know what I'm saying? And like the thing about it too is, as black men, obviously we look at the experience of other black men in generations past. But that's an experience too. Just poor people in general, like have that. If you look at it, wealthy people have never beat their kids.
No,
That's like a trend. That's like
because
wealthy people have never beat their
because
kids.
it was the upbringing, but they seen it. I mean, they was taken care of already, right?
Right.
That's why us black men now we're trying to find a foundation to have our. So basically, for me, I want to make sure, like, if I get Team Marco going, I want to make sure that Team Marco take care of Marco,
Right.
And then Marco take, it goes
Right.
on and on
Right.
and on.
Right.
You ain't got to worry about like,
right. So you're trying to break negative cycles and start positive cycles.
That's my goal.
Right.
That's my goal. And
Right.
and again, I still got more years to work on,
Yeah.
but that's my goal. For hopefully, the Marco can take from it because I mean, like you said, man, they joke about it about us getting whippings from our
Yeah.
kids, whatever, from our parents. I'm sorry, but
No, I know what yeah.
but I think we laugh about it because in the inside we kind of like
Yeah, it hurts.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It's eating us
Yeah.
up, whatever, man. I mean,
Yeah.
but again, that's why I can talk about right now to you on the podcast because I'm like I thought about it for years. I'm like, man, slavery times. Who know what they went through? They got whippings. I mean, I remember I seen in it that it wasn't even a whip; it was a belt,
Right.
and it was hitting them. I'm kind of like, huh,
Right.
I think it was mostly that kind of was like, so how in the world are we going to do that to each
Do the
other,
same
to each
thing.
other? And
Right.
see, you know what I mean? And I'm like, that kind of, and that had me thinking at a young age. I had to been at least 9 years. I was a thinker,
Right.
when I was young.
I can tell.
I was like, yeah, this it's just not, it's
Right.
not clicking with me.
Right.
That I mean, because at a young age, whatever, I don't know about this generation how they bring the kids up, whatever. But I seen like from the Roots to the Color Purple. You know, I'm sitting
Right,
there and I'm
right,
like,
right,
nah, I'm just not getting it.
right.
I'm not getting it.
These two things can't exist.
Yeah,
Like it's not.
but
It's not. They shouldn't.
and that's what I said. And that's one of the things I said. At the age, I thought it, but I didn't express it to my parents.
No.
And my therapist was like, "So you were the thinker. You kept everything inside." So I kept, and it made me nervous. She wrote in her book. I was like,
Right.
"Oh, she's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the
she's
worst one
right."
because you want to see what they writing. Like,
Right,
what you writing over there?
right. And she's write down more. And she was like, "You held a lot of things in, didn't you?" And she said, "Do you still hold things in now?"
Right.
And I'm like, and I wait for her pen. I'm like, "Yeah." So I read. I said, "Oh,
Yeah. Hey, my mind
yeah,
goes. My mind goes right to funny stuff, and this is where like
yeah, yeah,
come up with the cartoons and stuff.
yeah."
But can you imagine if you're in your therapist's office, right, and you're in your session, and every now and then you say something, like,
Yep.
and they don't never really tell you what they're writing. They
Nah,
might come back with
yeah.
something or whatever like that. Could you imagine if you looked over at the paper and they were like doodling,
Doing something,
and they were just
or doing a grocery list. Oh, I forgot this. I forgot to put this there. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, bro, you doing a grocery list in this class?
that would be crazy. Or what if you looked over at the paper and it was like Marco got a big head.
Yeah.
Marco breath stink. Like it was just all
Yeah.
silly stuff. I really, really
Yeah.
wish I could get some new Nikes.
Yeah.
It was just like random stuff, man. Could you imagine that?
It's I thought
I'm
about.
sorry, I got
question
us
it.
off track.
No, I question it sometimes because sometimes it gets worse for me. If
Right.
she don't got a notepad, you got some computer out. It's like,
Woo.
I'm like, oh, she's tapping away
How
on this
she
thing
type
with
so
it.
fast?
Why she typing so fast or whatever?
Does she type this fast for everybody?
Right. I'm like, man, it just makes me nervous, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Who is she going to show this to? Who is she going to send it to?
Like they say this is private.
Yeah.
I'm thinking when I leave, all her friends get together, like, girl, this is what I'm like, and that made me so nervous. They said,
So-
she showed me the contract. She said, by
No,
law.
they
I'm
can't.
like, oh, really? She said, if you wanted to, you can call it. I can, like, I can bring her to, like, she
Right.
can literally be, like, arrested. And I'm like,
Right.
did she show it to me? Which then when you signed it,
Right.
and I read
Yeah.
every detail. And when
Yeah.
I read it, I was like, oh, man, this is, like, serious or whatever.
Yeah. It's what
It's like even,
doctor
like,
patient
something like that. Even if I was
confidentiality.
even when
Yeah.
something was to happen to me,
Right.
they have to get permission from one of my family members
Right.
to be like, hey, like, like this is what's going on.
So check this out. Be careful.
Marco, the camera's
So check this out. That is exactly the
No,
truth.
stop.
So that is the truth. But you know what they can do?
what?
They can write a book and talk about all the stuff that we talk about.
Yeah.
They just don't put our names in it.
Yeah, they could call me.
If you go look right now in the therapy self-help section, and when they're talking about, I had a patient once that was dealing with mother issues and dealing with that's from a real patient. They just don't put the names in there, which is crazy. So yeah, it's wild. They just can't let anybody know who it is.
Yeah,
I do think we have covered so much that if we wrapped it up right now, it's perfectly fine with me. I feel like we've accomplished a lot. I feel like we've given the listeners and the viewers a lot to think about, and I really want to hear about that story about what you got angry about.
I got you.
If you want to share it,
That's off the air.
that's off record. That's off there.
record.
Some things are not for YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really, I appreciate you sharing everything that you have shared.
Yeah, man.
It's real. It's real and not.
Man,
Yeah.
we need to do more podcasts. I think we waited too long.
I know we did.
Man. We gotta.
Yeah. That's okay.
definitely-
We won't get back on the schedule.
Yeah, for the viewers out there, we're trying to come up with a schedule.
Yeah.
Or even an area for us to kind of bi-weekly come
Right.
do something.
Right.
Because right now the weather right now is like it's kind of chilly, but we need to find like a building or something, whatever that we can rent out.
I got a spot that we can get for free.
Okay.
I got a spot we can get
So
for
let's
free.
work. Me and Will telling y'all right now, we're gonna work on something. So we can bi-weekly come up with something, whatever. Hopefully, we can have this as a platform, kind of build from this. So y'all be looking out for that.
Right. And I'll make sure that I also put the Instagram page that we have, that we put the clips on. I'll make sure I put information for people to get in contact with us.
Yeah.
That way they can reach out. They can let us know how they feel about what we're saying, if they have ideas and stuff.
Yeah, I do the same thing for my Team Marco page too. Whatever, I got an Instagram page, I got a Facebook page.
Okay.
So everybody can kind of chime in with that. So we have all the information for all y'all to be able to follow us. Or
Right.
again, send me a message. Let me know what you think we should talk about this week, what's
Right.
going on in the world, whatever, and we'll
Right.
pretty much touch bases with that. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm cool with that too as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like every once in a while I'll be like, well, what makes us qualified? Who cares about? But we know that people listen. We know that people are interested. And I really do feel like every person walking the earth has an interesting perspective
Yeah.
that somebody else can benefit from. So it's just a matter of like, what audience are we talking to, and how do they react to what we're saying? Because I think we got good stuff to say, and we're both working through stuff. We're both parents, both husbands, working through stuff, sons.
Yeah.
So we're working through stuff, and we don't mind sharing.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. So
I'm down. I'm down with it, man. Look,
yeah.
besides the Team Marco boot camp and all that, man, I see my little side gig as hopefully maybe one day we can be radio hosts, man. Be
Oh
on
yeah,
that
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
hey, man, it can because right now that's a new thing. Right now, all these people are doing podcast shows and
Right.
stuff like that, man. I think
If we can get,
I have a lot to say, people. If
yeah,
y'all don't know, people think I'm quiet.
right,
I have a
right,
lot to
right.
say.
He really does. He really
People look
does.
at me like Marco's so quiet. I'm
Yeah.
really not.
No,
I
no.
just keep my tongue tied,
Very
and I
deep
keep
thinker.
everything. I'm a deep thinker.
Yeah, very
If
much
you
so.
ask me my personal opinion on things,
Right.
I might do something you might not want to hear.
Right, 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 right. And that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah,
For sure. Yeah. We all got opinions. We all got thoughts.
yeah,
But yeah, I like it. I like I always like the direction we go in.
yeah,
We keep it positive. Even if we talk about something that's heavy, it's for a reason. It's not just necessarily for the clicks or whatever like that.
Yeah.
It's to share our experiences and hopefully grow and help somebody else grow.
yeah.
And yeah, we raising young kings and queens, and we're just trying to be the best we can. So
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Where my dad's at?
Where my
We
dad-
right here, yo.
Yeah.